Hey everybody, welcome back to the Saw Shop. Today's video, let's start mapping out what we're going to do with this project 394 XP. I'm really excited. Today's video, let's check our squish and our timing numbers and set up our timing wheel. I'm going to check the timing on two different pistons, a Highway 395 pop-up piston and also a Meteor flat top 394 piston.
She cuts, eh?
Okay, so first things first, I want to try two different pistons in this build because, in my opinion, piston selection kind of denotes where you're going to go timing-wise or what you're going to do to the cylinder. I think the piston is often an overlooked part of a build. Everybody focuses on what they're going to do port-wise and timing numbers and whether or not you're going to do machine work. But in my opinion, I think choosing the part that's going up and down hundreds of times a second is super important. So today's video, I have my timing notebook, a pen, and all the gear I need. Let's quickly set up the timing wheel on our project 394 and figure out where the numbers line up. First things first, you need supplies to do this. So if you're new at the game, I think what I'm going to do, friends, because we've been doing this a long time now, there's always new people showing up. I think I'm going to do a couple of porting refreshers and, just quick videos to refresh people on what we're doing here and how to go about it. I think anybody can port. It's going to come easier to some people than others, depending on your mechanical skill and experience and what tools you have. But I mean, I think anybody can do this. It just, it might come easier to some than others. First thing I'm going to do here is grab my keyless drill chuck. For me, this is the easiest way to attach a timing wheel to the crankshaft. You're going to get some run out. But again, I've never found that run out affects my numbers at all, unless it's really bad, I guess. Okay. So first things first, put your drill chuck on there. Cinch it down good. Okay, and you should be good to go. I like to do timing without the crank seals in, just because everything moves smoother and just easier, and I think it's a better way to be. So the first piston that we are going to time is this really nice Meteor 394 piston. This appears to be an exact replica of the piston that would come in an OEM 394. Now, the reason why I'm timing two different pistons, I want to see if maybe there's some variances that will work for what I want to do with this cylinder. One thing with saw porters, friends, is everybody has their idea of the best way to make a saw. You guys that have been here know I don't get into that. My saws, my techniques are better than your techniques. I like a lot of different porters' work. Whether it be Ripsaw, friends, that Ripsaw 500, I loved what those guys did with those saws. Don't know what they did. I can assume it's a combination of moves like machine work, port work, all that kind of stuff. A good pipe. I love Donnie Walker's work. Donnie builds, if the factory ported a saw, I believe they would run like the way Donnie's do, because Donnie's saws run like a Swiss watch. They just do. Not to say that those 500 eyes didn't, but you guys get the idea. And the Iron Horse is like, Iron Horse saws are like a Mopar. They bring power to the game. And, you know, the Harv, when you run a Harv saw, you're like, whew! Like every time I'm at the trigger of an Iron Horse saw, I'm always left thinking I need to go back to the drawing board, friends. It's just, this stuff's fast. I'm lucky enough to have one of his saws, and it's angry, friends. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do here is mount the timing wheel. I'm just going to pause you guys and get you a little lower so you can see. Okay, I got you guys in close here. First thing I do is take a bolt, a couple of washers. The washers are only there to make sure you can cinch it down, because often the threads don't go deep enough in the case to go all the way to the bottom. I'm going to do that. I'm just going to grab an Allen key. Okay, and I'm going to cinch this down. You want this tight so that it doesn't move, because everything has to stay in line and repeatable. Okay, so this doesn't move now. Next thing I'm going to do, grab my timing wheel. People ask me all the time, where did I get this timing wheel? This one's from Princess Auto, which is Canadian. Probably doesn't help 99% of the viewers, but that's where I got this from. Now, the main thing is with this is you got to be able to tighten it down, and it doesn't matter where it's at right now, but I'll show you a quick trick of how I do it so that it saves me time. So I got my piston here. What I usually do is I'll push it to bottom dead center. Now you can tell where bottom dead center is usually. Look at where the timing key is. The timing key is facing straight up right now. It's dead center up and down. So I know I'm at bottom dead center. Where I have BDC, bottom dead center, marked on this one. So first thing I want to do, I grab my pliers, okay, and I hold on to the back, and I'll move the timing wheel to be somewhere close to where my pointer is. Now, I built this, I welded a nut on the end of the shaft. Okay, I built this so that I could use a scrunch. Don't ask me why. I use scrunches for everything all the time. Okay, so here's my BDC, and here's my pointer. Okay, bend your pointer in a way that, number one, it's not going to hit the timing wheel, and number two, so you can easily read it. Okay, now you always get some parallax between the camera and what you see here. I'm going to try and set this one up today that we can read it bang on. So now this should be tight, and look, if I put the piston at top dead center, which is right there, I should be really close, which it appears that I am. Okay, so let's put the cylinder on and let's do the squish and time this thing. Now, I just use 2 bolts. You can use 4 if you're concerned about such things. I never am. Some people would say my techniques are a little loosey-goosey, and maybe they are. They seem to work, though. I don't know. I don't make a habit of blowing saws up or tapping pistons on anything. So what do we do as human beings? We do what works. We create patterns for ourselves. And if you do something a certain way for years and it works, why change? So however you want to do it is how you do it. Here's my piston stop. Now, you might ask, why do you use a piston stop? Well, this is how we know if we're at 0 or not. Okay, it should stop in the same place. We're at 60 and a half. Okay, now erase that from your memory or your mind. That doesn't matter where it stops. Does it stop the same way in both directions? 60 and a half, 65. Okay, so it's 65 in one direction and 60 and a half in the other. So we have to get rid of 4.5 degrees of timing. So I'm going to move this 2 degrees in the other direction just by bending it. Now, some people will actually undo the timing wheel. I like to reef it down close to where it needs to be and then just bend my wire. Okay, so I think we're in a good spot. We're at about 62.5 there. 62.5. Go both directions. Just move it a little bit. 62.5. 62.5. Okay, can you guys see that? Let's try it again. I will move it over. Okay, so 61, 2.5. That's how you zero it. So now if I take this off, I know it stops in the same place in both directions. I know I'm zeroed and I'm at top dead center and bottom dead center exactly with the rotation. Notice there's some run out. It doesn't matter. I've never found that that affects my timing as long as I can recreate my numbers. Okay, I'm just going to quickly check squish. I'm not super concerned in this application. Not yet anyways. Not until I decide what I'm doing with this. Okay, just going to get you guys a measurement here. It's 0.2 of an inch. Now, these calipers are not super precise. Gives you an idea though. I don't keep my good machine tools in the shop in the winter. It's very humid in the winter here. And I'll grab my better calipers another day. But that gives you an idea. It's 0.2. 20 thousandths. On a big saw like this, I want 20 to 30 thousandths. So that might be something I'm going to have to look at in greater detail. Okay, so first things first, I want to look at my exhaust timing. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab my scope. Okay, I'm going to grab my scope right here. Now I always just turn it on the highest light setting. I stick it in the spark plug hole facing the exhaust port. Okay, hopefully you guys can see. I'll cup my hand over here so you guys can see the light. Some people look through the spark plug hole. Some people do it this way. Whatever works for you. You guys can see that ray of light. This is how I do it. When the light goes through there, it's opened. I'm going to say right about there. Looks like about 103 after top dead center. I'll show you guys the timing wheel. Okay, I'm closing it. Right about there. So 103, 104 after top dead center. I'll just double, triple check. So yeah, I'm going to say it's 103 after top dead center. Now it's slightly past, but I'm good with that. We'll say it's 103. Now the next thing I'm going to check is the transfers. And the way I do that is I shine my scope through and I'll look. Now this is just to get my base settings. Okay. It looks like they open right about here. And what I'm seeing is 125 after top dead center. Here's the wheel. I'll open and close it again. Okay. 125 after top dead center. So right now we have 22 degrees of blowdown. Not bad. I think we're going to increase that some, being a big saw. Here's the intake. Looks like it opens right about there. Okay, that's right where it cracks. Let's see what the timing wheel tells us. Okay, so it appears, I'm just looking through the intake again, right about there. So it's right, I'm going to say it's 72 before top dead center. Okay, and that means it should close at 72 after top dead center. And indeed, it does. Okay, so 144 degrees of duration. I'm going to write that down in my book. Let's swap to the Highway 395 pop-up piston and do the same thing. Okay, off comes the cylinder. Grab my little mini screwdriver here. Push the wrist pin out. Okay, there's the wrist pin. Grab that. Now I'm going to grab this Highway 395 pop-up. Okay, and we'll see what the difference is. I'm going to grab the Highway wrist pin also. Okay, here's the Highway pop-up with the Highway wrist pin. Slide that. Now notice I just bumped my timing marker. Guess what? I'm going to make sure to reconfirm my 0, because if I don't, my timing numbers could be off. Now, I've been doing this long enough now that I'll notice that when I get my numbers. But just a good practice to screw that back in for all the time it takes and check my numbers. I'm going to do that, and then let's time this thing. Okay, here's our exhaust, top dead center. We'll go to about 100. You guys see that? First ray of light. Right about there. Just gonna eyeball it through the port and also confirm with my eye. I really like doing this in the dark because you can really see what's going on. We're going to call that good. Let's have a quick look at it. So this one appears to be 104 after top dead center, which tells me the crown is slightly taller, right? Because it opens later. Okay, so we got 104 after top dead center. Now I'll do the transfers. Again, I'm just looking through here like we did with the last piston. My transfers open right there. And it appears 126 after top dead center. So the transfers actually open later on this one. So, which makes sense. Our exhaust opens 1 degree later, roughly, and our transfers do. Now, remember, the piston does not move in a linear fashion up and down. So you could get half a degree more or 3/4. It just depends on the bore stroke and all that kind of good stuff. So again, learn how to read a wheel and trust your findings. 126 is what I'm getting here. Now let's look at the intake. Here's our intake, bottom dead center. Make sure I don't get my scope stuck in there. The intake seems to open right about there. Okay, and I'm just going to confirm right here, right there. Okay, so 76 degrees it opens before top dead center. Okay, there's top dead center, and it closes at 76 degrees after top dead center. So our total intake opening on this one is 76 plus 76 is 152 degrees. So not bad. I prefer the timing numbers on the Highway versus the Meteor. Let's talk about that and wrap this one up. So we have our results, and that took 10 minutes literally to lay it out, zero everything, and time the 2 pistons. So looking at the 2 pistons, my Meteor 394 piston, I'm not going to compare squishes right now, friends, because I may or may not decide to do machine work to this. We can talk about that in another video. I'm just going to go straight timing numbers. The Meteor exhaust is 103 after top dead center. The Highway is 104. So I have a lower exhaust roof on the Highway. That may make a gruntier saw with more torque. Which maybe that's what a fella wants on a big saw like this. So out of the box, if you wanted torque, the Highway is going to win. And again, the Highway already has a pop-up, so you're already getting a little boost in compression. So if you're going for torque, the Highway would win. If you want a little more RPM, well, the Meteor is going to win. So again, depends on what you want to do. If you need a big saw or you want a big saw, but you want it to be zippy and make quick work of bucking jobs, you may want a little more RPM and a little less torque. If you're looking to pull a 4-foot bar, you're doing big falling jobs or stumping, you may want a little bit gruntier saw. So there's not one way to build a saw, and I'm not going to tell you which one works better for you. Transfer timing. Well, they're 22 degrees of blowdown, and that's the distance between the exhaust roof and the transfers opening. It's 22 degrees and should be 22 degrees with either piston. That will never change, friends. If you're getting differences in timing numbers from piston to piston, you may want to look at re-zeroing your wheel. Okay, so we got 22 degrees of blowdown. The Meteor opens at 125. The Highway opens at 126. Now, where the numbers are kind of skewed, and I find this interesting, I'm getting 76 on the Highway. So it's opening at 76 degrees before top dead center. On the Meteor, I'm getting 73. So right there, the Highway has a shorter skirt. The shorter skirt will open sooner and close later. So the Highway has 152 degrees of duration. The Meteor is 146. Out of the box, I would say the Highway should be the better running piston if you're just going to throw a piston in here. But the saw will have more compression. It'll be harder to start, and it will run hotter with the Highway piston. So apples to oranges, really. But it's kind of neat that you can put a different piston in and potentially have a different running saw. Also, you got to look at the size of your windows, and bigger windows will flow more air. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. So there's a lot more to this. And then piston weight is also something that you can put into the equation, but we're not doing that today. I just wanted to see where this saw times. Reasons why I won't use the Highway probably. Well, I don't want a pop-up piston in this build. Pop-up pistons, remember, when the air comes out of the transfers, there's a pop-up in the way. Guess what? That can create swirling and all kinds of issues in your combustion chamber. I happen to think that 394s have enough compression stock that I don't really want to raise it. Also, friends, I'm going for a little bit more of an RPM build. I want just a really fast bucking saw that'll pull a 32 nice in the kind of wood I have here. I don't have a ton of giant wood, but often I have jobs where I want to do a lot of bucking in, medium-sized wood, and I generally will grab the 394 for that. The weight doesn't bother me in a bucking situation, and it makes quick work of that bucking, and I can get the firewood loaded up in my truck quicker. So anyhow, friends, apples to oranges, really. They're both going to do different things, but they're very similar. I think in this case, I'm going to use the Meteor piston. It's a direct replacement for the 394. It's a flat top. The windows are about the same size as the Highway. This piston's a little bit heavier, but I can lighten it as I go. So I think in this case, I'm going to use the 394 piston. Anyhow, friends, thanks for tagging along. I can't wait to get this project done, and little by little we'll get it back together. I'm not even sure if I'm missing more parts because I've never seen this saw in one piece. So hopefully I have everything I need. If I don't, I'll have to find sources online. Anyhow, thanks for watching.